Hey, what's up, peeps? It's your boy back with more predictions for UFC 305. Last two cards I kind of sold. I barely went positive, so not good. We're due for a bounce back. Overall, I've been pretty solid though with my locks. My locks are 11-2, I believe. Only missed out on two. This card, I believe I have three locks. So yeah, we're looking good there. Basically, my underdogs are big time underdogs. Izzy is not an underdog, so just ignore that. I messed up. My apologies. But let's get right into it. First and foremost, I got Aguilar simply because Nicole's a newcomer. He hasn't he hasn't fought a UFC fighter yet. He's 8-0 though. Outside of it, yeah, I believe Aguilar's a solid fighter. He's at 10-2, and I think he's gonna give him an awakening for his first debut, his first fight. So we'll see. Next, we got Ricky Glenn and Sean Keenan, and I believe Sean Keenan is going to win because he is fighting at his normal weight class at welterweight for 170 pounds. Meanwhile, Ricky Glenn is moving up from lightweights, and he's 35, and he's been inconsistent. So, yeah, this is an easy pick just because Ricky Glenn's fighting up a weight class, and Sean Keenan is just going to be a better fighter, and he's more comfortable at that weight. So it makes sense to me. Easy pick there. I got Tom Nolan versus Reyes. This is probably the biggest lock of the night because Nolan is 13 years younger than Reyes. Reyes, I don't even think he's fought since like last year, and he's 37. I'm surprised he's still in the UFC, but yeah, Tom Nolan for the win. I think he's too much for Reyes. Reyes is probably, Reyes is the biggest underdog of this card. So I have Tom Nolan for the win there. Too easy there. And then we got Jenkins and Herbert Burns. I think Herbert Burns is a quitter just like everybody else. The narrative here is that Jenkins is going to overpressure him, and he just has more up his sleeve than Burns, and Burns is just a wrestler. So, yeah, I think Burns hasn't shown much as a fighter, and he's just shown he's quit a lot. So yeah, I like Jenkins here for a lock. So easy pick there. We got O'Neal and Luana Santos. I love Santos. She just fought 3 weeks ago though. She's coming from Brazil as well, flying, so I don't know how her training's been. She's still in good shape obviously because she's coming off that fight, but O'Neal hasn't fought in a year. O'Neal's very tough. I think she's a different type of tough fighter that that Santos isn't used to. So, yeah, I see O'Neal winning as the underdog because Santos is taking this fight very quickly, even though Santos is a stud. So, yeah, we got O'Neal, and we'll stick with that. All right. Then we got Ramos and Josh. I don't even know how to say his last name. These guys, it's a close one, but I ultimately picked Josh just because of what I saw in his recent fights. And Ramos has been submitted his last two fights, and he seems to leave his neck out a little bit more than he should and unprotected. So I just don't think I could pick Ramos, but that's what I'm going with. So we'll rock with that. All right, Walker and Tafa, this one's tough. They both just lost their last fight, and Walker looked terrible his last fight. But what is he, 11-1, 12-1? So he did just lose his first one. Meanwhile, Junior Tafa is 5-2. He is a better boxer, I believe, and I think he's desperate for a win here, so I think he's going to play a little bit more safe than he normally does. So, yeah, I like Junior Tafa here for the win. And Walker just looked terrible last fight, so I don't know if he's known to be a wrestler, but he couldn't even take down the last guy, really. He wasn't even that good of a wrestler. So, yeah, I don't like it for him here. Next, my last lock, third and final lock, is Carlos Prates, or however you say his name. My apologies. Against Li Ying Lang. Sorry if I messed that up. So Li is coming off a year of not fighting, and he's 36. He's a great fighter, but Carlos is way more dangerous. Carlos is more lethal, and I just think he could take out Lee, honestly. Plus, Carlos, the only downside about him is that he leaves his hands down at his side and he kind of goes defenseless, and he's willing to stand up and bang with whoever. But this does not favor Lee because Carlos is a stud. So we're going to go with him. Next, we got Tai Tuivasa and Rosenstruck. I picked Rosenstruck here because he did just come off a win, and he might be a little older, but that's really the only downside. Meanwhile, Tai is on a 4 fight losing streak, and I think Rosenstruck has just better IQ as a fighter, so I don't see him having a problem here. But we will see. It's heavyweight, so you don't really know. But yeah, I like Rosenstruck. He's the more safe play here, so that's what we're going with. Next, we got, Gamrot and Hooker. I love Dan Hooker, and I honestly wanted to take him as a dog. But yeah, he hasn't fought in a year. And Gamrot is just, he's a wrestler. I think they both have like chins of steel. They're both crazy tough. And I think that favors Gamrot just because of his takedowns and his wrestling, which could win him the whole fight if it goes the distance. Hooker is a dog, as we all know, though. And if he can catch Gamrot, he could win the fight with the crazy head kick with his kickboxing. And who knows what he'll look like tomorrow night, because it has been a while since we've watched him. And I think Dan Hooker's just straight up dog. And Gamrot is more boring to watch, but just his style for this fight, if it goes the distance, I think Gamrot's going to win. There's a knockout. I got Dan Hooker. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Depends how active Dan Hooker is, and it depends how active he can be as the rounds progress against the takedowns from Gamrot. So we'll see. Really exciting fight. I really like that matchup, so it should be a good one. All right, now the co-main event. This fight is going to be a banger. We got Steve Erceg and Kai Kara-France. These guys are going to be striking at each other, going at it nonstop, and I really like just this matchup in general. So Steve Erceg, we all know him. Looks like Steve Carell from The Office. Super good boxer. However, the fight IQ, it's a little questionable based upon that Pantoja fight where he was trying to shoot takedowns in the 5th round when he should have kept it standing up. So I'm not sold on his fight IQ. I think his boxing is incredible, though. But at the same time, Kai Kara has incredible boxing and striking. He's a great kickboxer, too. He's got that in his background. And Kai Kara should have won his last fight. Amir Albazi totally stole that fight from him. And a lot of people are like, Amir Albazi's not even all that. But, he's ranked up there for a reason. And Kai Kara also is a seasoned veteran that is a crazy good striker, like I've been saying. He's the best striker I think Erceg's fought, even though he fought Pantoja. And Pantoja and him had a dogfight. But I just like Kai Kara here because it's 3 rounds. I think the IQ of Kai Kara will play in his favor over time throughout this fight. So we'll see if it goes the distance. It could be a knockout either way, though, because these guys are both dangerous. So I cannot wait for this fight, and it's going to be a banger. So we'll see what happens. But I got Kai Kara. Don't hate on me. I know Erceg's the fan favorite, but I got Kai Kara. All right, last but not least, we got Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis. Honestly, this fight could go either way. Ignore the underdog emoji. I meant to put a check mark because Israel Adesanya is the favorite to win here, but barely. So, the narrative here is he's had a whole year off. Izzy hates Dricus. He can't stand him, as you can see in the press conference that they had yesterday. And I also like Izzy's striking here in kickboxing. I think it benefits him as Dricus is pushing with his wrestling and trying to force that pressure on Izzy. I think Izzy is going to hit Dricus a ton and counter him while he's trying to take him down. and he might catch Dricus a few times by surprise. So that's my narrative here. I think Israel Adesanya's takedown defense holds up enough to get him to get some points off of hitting Dricus with significant strikes as he's coming in. And if these guys stand and bang, I like Israel Adesanya's chances better than Dricus's. And I think Dricus is a great fighter. Like, there's no doubt. I mean, he's the champ for crying out loud. But that Sean Strickland fight honestly could have gone either way. It was very close, but I saw Sean winning that in my eyes. And I honestly think that Adesanya just had a bad fight against Sean Strickland. I think he overlooked him his last fight. It was his worst performance ever. But I think he bounces back here. I think he's supposedly cleared his head, even though he was crying yesterday. But yeah, I'm riding with Israel Adesanya. And I think that this is a good selection overall. I don't think we did terribly bad. And I say all three of the locks hit. So I would definitely look at those locks and probably ignore my underdogs. But we'll see. We've seen crazier things happen. So I'm looking forward to this card. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I hope it's everything that we were hoping for, with especially the first 3 fights to end the card. So we'll see how it goes, and good luck to you.